It's just like growing natural hair. All growth is not good growth. If it looks raggedy, cut it off.
Hi, welcome to Lilies and Tomatoes, your go-to place for simple and practical tips and tricks on how to start a garden all the way through how to use what you grow. This is from my live class that I teach on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays on Facebook. If you'd like to attend a live class or ask me a question, check out the link in the description.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my basement workshop. Today we're talking about pruning. What is pruning? Why you should prune, when you should prune, how much is too much pruning, all the pruning things. And we have not met yet. My name is Quincey Adams and I want to help you grow some of your own food in a small space on a budget. Okay, let's get started. So pruning is basically just cutting some of your plant. It's just that simple. There's different reasons why you would want to prune, and there's definitely some telltale signs when you should be pruning. You definitely want to prune to make sure that you're getting the most out of your plants. So sometimes if you're not pruning, it's going to send a signal to your plant that it doesn't need to grow anymore, so it'll just slow down growth. Or sometimes it will try to bolt on you. Bolting is when a vegetable or an herb sets a flower stalk and tries to go into its reproduction cycle. If you want to keep it from going into that reproduction cycle, then you're going to want to prune off the flowers to stop that cycle. Sometimes you want to prune because your part of your plant is sick or dying. It's just like growing natural hair. All growth is not good growth. If it looks raggedy, cut it off. Like, it's just that simple. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of things that need to be pruned from my garden, and we'll talk about like why you wouldn't want to prune each type of plant, how to prune it, and how much is too much. So the first one I have right here, if I can pull this a little bit into frame, this is oregano in a plastic planter. And this is a plant that I split in half during class earlier this year. We had some really intense sun and the middle part died. So we've got some straggly stuff on the ends that grew up and over the pot. And I put some more seeds in the middle and some of it's starting to grow. There's also some grass in here. So with this, I mean, this is still growing, but this is not optimal growth. I want this to get wider instead of just creeping down the sides of the pot. So we're going to prune off the long leggy bits, and we're going to actually dehydrate this because this is kind of a lot. So I've got some pruners, and what I'm going to do is, see this long leggy bit right here, I'm just going to snip it off just like that. And then the same thing over here. All of this, I'm going to snip, snip, snip. So I've harvested this much of oregano herb, and it's still growing in the pot. It should recover fine. You can see there's some baby oreganos popping up in here, plus a lot of dead stems from where it fried out in the middle, but it'll be fine. And I also have another pot of this, which also needs to be pruned. That one, it went to flower, and I let it go to flower because I didn't have any flowers, or not a lot of flowers on my deck at that time. So now it needs to be cut back. This is Cat Mint that we planted during class, and this one got all discombobulated. This needs to be up potted because this just fell over and it's been growing in like a cascade down the pot. This was tiny when I first planted it, but this whole stem right here is dead. So we want to cut this off because it's not doing anything to help the plant. So we're going to snip that off. There's a little bit of live stuff on here, but most of this is dead. So that's gonna go off. And let's just look at this real quick. Yeah, this is going to get up potted and supported because it's taking up too much space horizontally. This is Comfrey propagation class, and I made those 4 Dollar Tree buckets. Oh, what's going on? I'm not sure what happened, but I just got a second countdown on my video when I was already live. So if you guys can still see me and hear me, let me know. And some of this is dead. So I've got some dead leaves on the side. A lot of these are brown. From that bucket, from the bucket propagation, I actually ended up having more than like too much just to fit in those 3 buckets, so I put them back into containers, and these all look sad. I'm not sure what kind of disease this is. This looks like some kind of blight, but this is, I grow this for fertilizer as a compost additive, but with this disease on it, I'm not going to put these diseased leaves into my compost. It's also got some dead leaves hanging off on the side. We've been getting a lot of rain lately, or actually forever. We get a lot of rain here, and so the Comfrey was getting too much rain. It's got blight. All of this is getting cut off and thrown in the garbage, except for there's a couple tiny leaves in the center that still look okay. The dried leaves I can just pull off. And then I'm going to cut the rest of this off because it's diseased, and I don't want this to spread. So I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but the stem is brown as well. Like in the stem, there's brown spots in the stem and the leaves. So we're gonna trash all of that and just leave the healthy baby leaves that are coming up from the center. Generally, I have a rule where I would only like to, my preference is to cut no more than 1/3 of the plant off at a time, unless it's got some kind of major disease. So if I'm just pruning for aesthetics or to increase the harvest, then I generally don't like to take off more than 1/3 at a time. If it's severely diseased and it looks like it might not make it if I prune it too hard, then I will also follow that rule. But for something like Comfrey, it's almost indestructible. So I'm gonna cut this back. All this is going in the garbage, and we're just leaving the leaves in the center because they still look healthy. And then the last plant that we're gonna look at is some stevia. So I'm not sure if you can see these little flowers. The stevia, oh, see, it's starting to set flowers. This has been trying to flower all summer, and this actually took a tumble during my greenhouse escapade, so there's barely any dirt in here. These both need to be up potted, but I am going to cut the flowers off one more time before the end of the growing season, so I can try to get one last harvest of stevia. And these, so generally when you prune something like stevia, you want to prune it not like this right here, but you want to prune it near this little intersection where there's 2 nodes, because in this little intersection there's it'll grow from here. So this part's going to stop growing. I'm going to cut this down. And it's going to branch out from right in here. And that is pretty much it for pruning. Pruning is pretty simple. If your plant starts to look sad, if it's got brown leaves on it like this does at the base, then you want to start pulling the dead leaves off and then cut it back. Generally, I would fertilize after doing this. Not a whole lot because it's the end of the season and it doesn't have that much time to grow. But definitely pruning, you want to prune to keep the plant from going into its reproductive life cycle, to keep it into a nice shape, to cut off any diseased or damaged parts, to cut off any dead parts because those are going to drag the plant down, and to also encourage more harvest. So if you've got something that's leafy, if you prune it back, it's going to grow more because the plant needs to, that sends a signal to the plant that it needs to grow more. All right, do you compost your random cuttings? If they do not have disease, yes. So I have generally a couple of bins going. So I've got like my regular compost bin, and then I've got like an extra garbage can that I use for disease cuttings, and I put all those in the garbage, and those go out with the garbage, and then anything that looks decent, then that goes into another bin that I save up for to go into the compost. If it's really big, then I cut it down because more surface area is better for your compost. But in general, if it's healthy, it goes in the compost, and unless I have like entirely too much, and then if it's diseased, it goes in the trash. Any other questions? Let me just double check. I don't see any other questions. Generally, yes. And then normally I have multiple planters with Comfrey in it, and a couple of them have blight, so those are going to get cut back. Some of the other ones I will probably cut all the way down to the dirt. And I am filling up new planters, so I will just, instead of trying to keep growing them in those planters, I will propagate the roots into the new planters instead of trying to grow them in containers, because they got too much rain this year. We had a lot of rain, lots and lots of rain. All right. Okay, second time's the charm. I'm not sure what happened. I was broadcasting. It told me I was live, and then all of a sudden it gave me a second countdown, and then it said, "You're done. How was your experience?" while I was still talking. Don't you just love technology?